we have had what I think can only be described as a biblical amount of rain here.
Really?
Oh God, yeah.
That's alarming. Let me look at the weather.
No, it is quite alarming. If you look at how
I don't have
low
rain.
pressure system,
Mm.
and it has just quite literally like the bands have been spinning over our house for 24, 48 hours now.
So Bizibu got my prayers.
I'm trying to look here. Tell me how much rain he got at his house. Yeah, 4 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain, and so we had some problems here.
Oh,
Paul, I don't know if I've mentioned on this podcast ever that I finished my basement. Have I ever mentioned?
I don't think so. Well, maybe once. Maybe once.
Yeah. So I took on this ambitious project last year. It only took like a week, and I finished the whole basement. And,
Okay.
10 years ago, when we bought the house, before I built the deck on the back, the first thing I did was I will call it a French drain, so everybody knows what it is. But I don't think they're technically French drains, but whatever.
Oh,
I put
right,
a
sorry.
trench in, put a tube in there that absorbs water, and it pushes water from my backyard to my side yard, which is a hill going away from the house. Not into my neighbor's house, but just away from my house. And so my wife woke up this morning and she said, "Hey, there's some water coming into the basement." I was like, "Oh, oh."
Oh no.
So what happened was we have window wells in the back of our house.
Right.
They were filled with water, filled to the top, like all the way up to the brim, to the point that they could not hold any more water. And now there's openings. They're glass blocked windows, but there are on some of them like
Little vent. Yeah.
vents, like you can turn them open. And so
Okay.
thankfully whoever put these in did a very good job, and just a little bit of water was coming in through those openings.
Okay.
But the problem was we literally had standing water up to our foundation, in our backyard was just flooded. It's still flooded for that matter, but my French drain was clogged and I didn't realize this. And so once I figured that out, I pulled it out and it looked like a fire hose of water just went just like
There's a France joke that is escaping me because of my tiredness here, but
some sort of protesting joke.
yes. Well, it's anyway.
So
Yeah.
7:30 this morning, I was literally in my backyard digging drainage trenches from my foundation line back to where this French drain is. Just sopping wet, just covered in mud, just a great way to start build. Which, by the way, thank goodness I'm not at build, because my wife,
Yeah.
she would have
Right.
figured out what to do, but
You see, Brad, everything happens for a reason. This global pandemic and the displacement of millions of people and our inability to travel to Seattle all happened so that you were home for this. That's how God works.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter your belief system, luck, goodwill, whatever.
Yep.
So there is one spot in the finished area of the basement that does not have drywall on it. One spot. And it is in the bathroom, and it was right behind the toilet. And the reason why there's no drywall on it is because we couldn't, the toilet was too close to the wall.
Okay.
And so it was actually kind of a nice area to do it. It's sort of in a corner and there's a shower. And so we just painted the concrete brick white. That is the only spot that got wet, because the water,
Yeah. Nice.
that the window in the bathroom is the only one that leaked, and it just ran down the concrete wall, which
Right.
it's supposed to do. And then our trench that we had put in, our sump pump system, is actually designed with a sheet of, it's plastic, but it's like vinyl or something at the bottom to catch that as it comes down to put it into the trench. And that is the only spot in the basement that does not have drywall, and that's the only spot that we can tell so far that had water.
Wow.
Yeah, talk about luck.
That's strange. There's no rain in my forecast. We've discussed before, you're often my weather tomorrow, So this must be, I don't know, maybe I know there's some kind of a hurricane off the coast, and maybe there's some kind of a wind, a pattern to the weather that's related to that. Yeah, but
It's definitely a low pressure system, and it's spinning, and it's just moving just in the
right.
cavity that the bands are always just sort of over our house. And
That was the story of the blizzard of '78, which is famous to anyone in the Boston area, because that nor'easter kind of came through the Boston area and inexplicably parked itself on top of Boston and then snowed for 3 days, and shut the entire place down. Really, state of emergency. The house that I used to live in was right off the highway, and the people who lived there before us took in 3 people from cars and let them sleep at their house that night because there was no way anyone could get home.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that type of thing happens is the point. I mean, it's rare, you know, and anyway, well, hopefully that will be the worst thing that ever happens with water and rain, you know.
That is. I mean, I'm going to do some grading. The other issue too was that because that French drain failed, I could see how water flows in the backyard. And what it was doing is it was starting just like water flows downhill, obviously.
Yeah. No, I know, but you can always tell the exact direction it might go, and it's like a lie on a golf course, Brad. You know, as you should know. I mean,
yeah. So I can see the path, and I'm going to do some regrading to kind of slope it in case this does ever happen again.
Imagine if this happened in like February and it was snow. What's 4 inches of rain into snow? What is that, like 40 inches?
Probably.
Or so or more? I don't even know. It's a lot.
I mean, and thankfully it's warm outside. It's 64 degrees. Like I'm out there. I was literally out there in like shorts and a t-shirt, just like hee-hawing with a freaking shovel, just digging drainage trenches away from the foundation. It was great. It's great. So, the audio issue is fixed. I don't know if it will.
What was the audio issue?
There was some people said they could hear a minor echo yesterday. My first guess is that I had the gain, as Paul knows right before this, turned up pretty high. I'm wondering if it was actually picking up the speaker that you talk out, like right how I hear you. And
I see.
This was picking it back up. So I turned the gain way down on this to see if that does it.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so build is today.
Is it?
Yeah, little things Microsoft does sometimes.
I should look at writing something up. I guess I don't have to worry about it. As people will soon discover.
Yes, I was going to say to the world, Paul and I, we're going to save the content for tomorrow. We know all of the announcements, and by the time you're listening to this podcast, they might already be up on the site. But there's some good stuff in there. There's some good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I will just leave it at that.
Other things that are kind of crazy to me is that Minecraft hit 200 million in sales, and this game is 11 years old.
I think you're right.
Over 100 million, I think, monthly active players, something like that.
Yep. Yeah, it's a blockbuster. I mean, it's not my thing, you know.
No, it's not mine either.
But you know, I often tell the story about the time my son, who was a little kid at the time, a littler kid or whatever, at the time was playing this weird game with weird music I could hear, and I kind of came in to look at it, and I didn't understand what it was, and he wasn't. I'm like, do you fight people? You know, he was making some kind of a world, and I thought, like, so you design a level and then you play in it, and he's like, no, not really, you know. And this kind of specter-looking thing floated by, and I was like, what was that? And he goes, oh, it's my cousin Harrison, who, you know, now lives 5 minutes away from here. But at that time, you know, they were separated by many miles, and they would see each other a couple times a year, and they were playing together, building this thing. And I thought, you know, that's great. It's just great. You know, they're not doing anything violent. They're creating things. I mean, it's nice.
Legos.
Yeah.
So, anyways. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the big stuff. Obviously, Microsoft's not going to announce anything on a Monday right before build. And so it's been...
Yeah, that's right. Although, by the way, I have been struck by how many requests I've gotten from other tech companies to do things that are right in the middle of build. You know, like HP contacting me, Huawei. Huawei's having some kind of an analyst summit, and you know, virtual, of course. And I'm like, guys, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm done. Yeah. And Thursday, I'm really busy because we have our normal meeting and another meeting, and this week's over. So this is it. Whatever's on the calendar now, that's what I'm doing. You know, like I'm not adding stuff. But yeah, it's going to be, there's a lot of stuff coming, and I think it will be interesting. I mean, regardless of your focus.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot coming. Some interesting things. We'll have a lot more to talk about tomorrow. Kind of just not running this episode into the ground because I really want to see if the echo's fixed. So if you are listening and you hear an echo, please let us know, or let me know in some nice way possible. We'll try something different.
Yeah. Maybe we'll start using, FaceTime or Google, whatever it's called these days, or I don't know.